Completely around.
Yeah, we're still rolling?
Will be.
At 4D, we are absolutely passionate and driven every moment of every day to help you, leaders, teams, whole organisations develop and become more of the 4D human beings that they want to become in terms of their communication skills, their relationships, their collaboration, and of course, their well-being. And one of the things that we become fascinated by, both for ourselves and for the people that we work with, is what gets in the way. So while we are spending most of our time looking at the success and celebrating the amazing journeys that our clients and people that we coach take, it's very important that we stay on top of what is it that really gets in the way. So Penelope, Matt and I are lucky enough to have spent some time together. We don't often get this kind of time together. So we're going to have a conversation about what are the obstacles, what gets in the way of either course participants or coachees really taking on board the gifts of the 4D tools and techniques that they're given and really making them part of their everyday life and getting to the place that they want to get to, really developing. So what are the things that we see that block people from actually making those changes?
I think there are a few things. I mean, I think in lots of development in our life, fear of failure is a big thing, I think. It can be safer to be a bit stuck where you are. At least you know where you are then. Whereas if you try something, step in, try a different energy, try a different intention, try telling a story, and it doesn't work, then perhaps that's even more challenging for you. So I think for some of us, there's a psychological block where if we don't try, we can't fail. I think that can get in the way for some people.
Yeah. And there's something really important on that as well, is that it's probably less usual for us to meet course participants or coaching clients who are at kind of last chance saloon, who are in such a terrible place that if they don't change something tomorrow, they're going to be out of a job. Usually it's part of it's a next career level, or it's you've reached this stage, you're great, and there are some things that you could do to take things further. And I agree with you that when things are kind of good enough, we talk about burning platform, but if you've just got a sort of slightly smouldering platform, it's not very tempting to jump, is it? And particularly, I often talk to clients, both coaching clients and therapy clients, and really I'm explicit about it, that if you're on a boat in the sea and it's got a hole in it and it's potentially going to sink, if you can't see another boat to jump into, there's not a huge, it's difficult. It's not
a huge incentive.
It's not a huge incentive, even though you know this one's going down. Yeah. So that can be really challenging when it's sort of working well enough, even though it's got problems.
Exactly. It's got me here. So, why do I need to think about this?
And I love that phrase, what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah, exactly. And which is kind of linked to the area that I would mention, which is prioritising. Which is, we are very busy people. The corporate world is very, very busy. People have got a lot to do. People are valued and rewarded on delivering what they need to deliver, quite rightly. And then you find you have some training in your diary and you've still got all the other stuff that you need to do. And sometimes it can be very, very challenging to prioritise that training because, as you say, Phil, it's not a kind of burning, urgent, right here, right now issue, which may be the case in terms of some work you have to deliver. So it can sometimes feel easy to delay or kind of slightly deprioritise those, let's call them softer skills in terms of your leadership and career development. And yet at some point it will catch up with you. Yeah. So whilst it seems like there's other more important things to do, this is about you. And if you're able to prioritise that one day out of 6 months when you've got a training course or the hour a week you've got coaching, if you can prioritise that is going to make an enormous, enormous difference.
I wonder sometimes whether a lot of the tools we work on with people, particularly in the communication skills space, the leadership space, the results of that, let's call it improved conversation, more intentional conversation, very often they're not seen until a bit later. We talk a lot about the relationships people build through their communication. Yeah. And so it can be trickier to see that this one thing you've done in this meeting has had this impact over a long period of time. You and I have talked a lot about habits and James Clear's work down the years. And, making these small changes, but doing them again and again and again is what makes the difference. Just like working out, just like food choices, etc., etc. If you're busy, you're just going from meeting to meeting, it can be tricky to make sure that you've really thought about the story you're going to tell. You've really thought about the energy you're going to bring in.
Yeah, it's so true. You're making me think of as well. I think it's a really good analogy with like a different energy in communication or a different intention. If you only do it once, it's a bit like putting your trainers on and running a mile up the road and back and calling yourself a runner. You're like, well, I probably need to see that again a couple of times before I really think that you've made those changes, that our relationship has shifted. So you're absolutely right. It's about falling in love with the actual doing, isn't it?
The doing.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think if you are very aware and can notice that what you are doing right now is having an impact, then that can be really kind of self-affirming for you in terms of, I can see that's having an impact. And we've talked a lot about curiosity. If you can look at, right, I'm going to try this, what's happening, and then maybe get some feedback from someone you trust, suddenly then you're thinking, God, this actually can really work for me, and then that feeds on itself, and you're more motivated to do it again.
So think of 4D as a kind of a parallel companion in your life, rather than a program that you go on. It's something that is potentially with you all of the time. It's a process that you get to refer to and enjoy, rather than a moment in the diary or a goal at the end of it.
Well, and that really speaks to how we really try and craft the 4D experience, that it isn't just a 1 hour coaching or a 1 day program, that actually you are part of a continuous journey, and we do everything that we can to make the tools super easy, engaging and fun, very, very effective. And as well as, of course, all of the support materials, those regular nudges from us to keep trying. And of course, our on-demand platform, which has got all the reminders, so that we're doing everything we can to create an environment that makes it as easy as possible to make these 4D tools and techniques a daily habit. Yeah. There's one other that I would mention, which I refer to as the wall of fire, which is, it's personal to all of us, but it's the part of it that feels really difficult. It might be eating humble pie. It might be that actually we feel like we shouldn't have to compromise in that relationship. Or it might be exactly as you said earlier, Matt, that if I dial up my energy and raise my gestures a bit, what if people think I'm stupid or look silly or whatever it is? That wall of fire that will be unique to all of us. It might be around failure or feeling justified in being annoyed with somebody or whatever it is. It'll be personal to all of us. The thing that we want to hold on to and we don't want to cross through that wall of fire is difficult. And what I love about the wall of fire is it's not a brick wall and it's not a forest of fire. It's just a wall of fire. And when you go through it, on the other side, it's such a relief.
Oh, was that it?
Was that it? You can breathe. And it looks like this terrifying sort of, I'll never be able to do that. But once you take the risk and you're through the other side, you've got ownership and you've taken responsibility for your own choices. And it's like freedom, isn't it?
And much more choice and range in terms of how you operate and how you show up at work and at home.
Yeah, and I think that's right, is that it can fit, while it feels maybe slightly scary to risk the failure or risk looking silly, it's the difference between being trapped by your own patterns and being at choice and having that freedom. Yeah, on the other side of the wall of fire. So there's a few thoughts around what can be those kind of tricky obstacles or those traps or the things that hold us back when it comes to our own development. We're all human. That's why we're called 4D human being. Like, we really get that while we want to drive to those improvements and those changes that we want to make, that we're also human, and sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and that's fine. And we need to find some humour around that and enjoy the process, because that is life and that is leadership. So we're here at 4D Human Being to help you. Do get in touch for more on how we can help you break through those walls of fire to become a 4D leader and human being. 4D Human Being, developing the communication skills, leadership and well-being of your people.